Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Hey, Len, there are perennials out there that will continue flowering and most of the summer.
Yeah.
And we're going to let these folks know about 3. They're going to be really one of our favorites.
It really is. And, we get it all the time.
Right.
Do you have a perennial that flowers all summer?
Right.
And it really, not sort of,
yeah.
It flowers a little bit later, or where these few, you will absolutely get. The sages that we talked about, the salvia, those will flower all summer, but you've got to cut them back.
You do.
You can, as long as you're deadheading, like you said, or we're cutting them back a little bit, you'll have good success. But the first one on our list, one of my favorite.
My favorite, too.
Veronica.
Yep.
Veronica.
It's a beauty.
Veronica used to come in just blue, and it sometimes got confused with salvia or sage. But it's a completely different genus. It is a great plant. It's a little narrower, spikier, has a different texture to it.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's very uniform in the way that it looks in the landscape.
Yeah.
My favorite, there's a Purplicious. Purplicious. Yeah. I like Purplicious because it has it's purple.
Yeah.
It's not blue.
No.
It's not pink. It's not lavender. It's purple.
Purple.
And it looks great. It looks great.
Beautiful.
There's First Love, which is pink.
Pink. Ooh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, you come on, Hool. Give me some varieties.
There's one that you brought in. I loved it. It was like a silver.
Yeah.
It was silverish in the stems and the leaves.
And the flowers a little paler blue.
Oh, that
like almost on a hint of lavender in it.
Yeah.
That Veronica was beautiful. It had silver leaf. I can't remember the name of it.
Me neither. It was a hit.
Well, boy, we're not prepared. But it was. And,
it was a hit.
And we brought it in early.
Yeah, we did.
So you get different help besides just the flower color. Here you're getting, what it reminded me of is how Russian sage is gray foliage. And you get that benefit. And this Veronica had that silvery foliage.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the only time I've seen it. It's not like there's a whole series where they're all silver foliage.
No.
This was one variety, and I'm sorry I can't remember the name of it.
And I had people coming back and saying, hey, where is that one that you had that was silver?
Yeah, I saw one plant left on the bench the other day.
Yeah.
And it was, again, it's upright.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
The flowers are narrow.
Yeah,
almost like pipe cleaner. Yeah, like a real narrow pipe cleaner where it's it's pyramidal in a way. I don't know. This is a time where I wish we weren't on radio because we're trying to give you a mental picture. Close your eyes, okay? And the leaves where salvias are kind of dull and flat, the leaves on a Veronica are somewhat shiny.
Yeah, they are.
Where they're a little more reflective of light. And they catch light. Where salvias, they just kind of they absorb light, and they're kind of dull, flat, really like a flat green.
Yeah.
Where Veronicas are not.
Yeah.
Veronicas are not. Great plant, and again, it used to be just blue, and it was that same shade of blue of the salvias. Now there's all different colors. There's even a white out there. I think the white's okay.
Yeah,
I don't think it's great, but. All of the plants that we've talked about so far on the show attracts hummingbirds, butterflies. I mean, these are great plants.
Yeah, pollinators are great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of my favorites, and I'm trying to recreate this where it's Russian sage. Right. Okay. There are a lot of new varieties of Russian sage, like Little Spire is one of my favorites because it stays more compacted.
You like the small one?
About 2 foot.
Yeah.
But in its place. So you use that one in the front part of the border.
Okay.
But I have been trying to recreate in my garden where it's a combination of Russian sage with that beautiful blue flower and that gray foliage with a pink David Austin rose.
Oh, goodness.
And where those two, that soft pink and that blue, spectacular combination.
Goodness.
Russian sage is a great plant. Then the foliage is almost serrated, where the leaves are cut, and that it makes it where a lot of everything is light, and what I mean by that is now Mitch again with us, photographer, right? Mitch is a photographer.
Yeah, he is.
He knows all about light.
He does.
Where light in the garden is a big thing. Where you go out in your garden during certain times of the day, like I know that at dusk, your garden looks completely different than it did at midday or did in the morning. Mm-hmm. And to me, with that light, there are certain plants that reflect light. We were just talking about Veronica, where the leaves will reflect, are a little reflective, and that they're shiny. Sure. Where the Russian sage absorbs the light, and it's gray, and you see it, but it's not the same. It's not where it's a shine. It's not shiny at all. It's flat. Yeah. But it has that gray color that makes it look so good.
Yeah. The leaves remind me of ferns. I don't know if you...
texture.
Yeah.
And how many times do we say this, right? A good landscape, a good anything is color, texture, and form.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Color, texture, form.
Yeah.
And that's what you look for. That's what you look for.
Mm-hmm. I just had some sage I should just put in my garden.
Now, wait a minute.
Russian sage.
Big difference.
Russian sage.
Russian sage, is not
a sage.
A sage.
Yeah.
We just want to keep everybody guessing to make us look smart.
That's right.
We talked about this last week, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Jimmy's question, right?
Yeah, Jimmy's question. Right?
Unfortunately, So Russian sage, is not a sage.
It's a regular sage. Yep.
Yes.
But I just put mine in. It looks gorgeous because the backdrop is dark. You know what I'm saying? So now I got a lot of light in front of me.
So it brightens it up.
Yeah, it just brightens that whole area up.
It's great.
Yeah, and it's kind of like really soft too.
Yeah.
I love it.
Hearty Hibiscus.
Oh, yeah.
Just arrived.
Yeah, it just came in.
Hearty Hibiscus are an amazing plant. Now, we're not talking about the tropical hibiscus, the ones that you get from Florida or from wherever, California, and these are Hearty Hibiscus that live here, and the size of the flowers are enormous.
Gosh.
8 inches across, even up to a foot by the time, and they're just starting to grow, and they're just starting to form now. And that, depending on the variety, they can get up to 3 feet, 4 feet.
It's a beautiful thing.
They are. The flower doesn't last real long.
Yeah.
But man, it is.
But you get a lot of them.
it is a stunning plant.
Oh my gosh.
Lady Baltimore is one of those that get 4 to 5 feet tall, and the flowers are light pink with a deep pink center, and again, it's like crepe. The flowers are made out of crepe paper.
Yeah, it's like real thin.
There's a new variety. Proven Winner put it out, and it's really nice. It's pink. I think it's pink swirl.
Ooh,
unbelievable! Unbelievable. I am
Wow.
going to plant some of those at home this year.
What's the difference between that one and the other one?
It's the way that the flower is, that it's got an actual. So the flower is made up of like 4 or 5 gigantic petals.
Right.
The edge of the petals have a deeper pink edge on them.
Oh.
So it makes it look like it's in a swirl.
Oh, my goodness.
It is a great plant. And again, these are hardy hibiscus. They are hardy in our entire listening range.
Right.
They like to be fed, and they will get stalks on them that are the size of like corn. It looks like they'll be like 2 inches across.
Yeah.
And they're not going to grow out of those. So at the end of the season, you kind of just cut them down, and they'll grow out, and they'll start all over again.
Right.
Please do yourself a favor. Go get some hardy hibiscus. You will be amazed in one season how big and beautiful these flowers are. Yeah. They look fake.
Yeah, they do.
They look like something from, the Wizard of Oz.
They do.
Great plant.
Yeah. Could you imagine a whole, like a row of them?
Yes. I consider we have a black aluminum fence along that one section along Fish Pond Road. I'd love to plant like 30 of them along that road.
That'd be great.
The only problem is we don't have water over there. And
they like water.
It's not that they don't. I get worried about a drought.
And
it's a bad place because I only think about it like on my way home. It's like, darn it!
I forgot.
We gotta water those things. Look at them. Oh my, that's embarrassing. So we have some short weeds that grow there. But in any case, Hearty Hibiscus. Yeah. Look for Hearty Hibiscus.
And if you love Flower Boy.
Yeah. This is one of those that is a showstopper for sure.
Yeah, unbelievable.
All right, we got another break coming up. Hey, you know where we're going to be next? We're going to be in the lawn.
Oh, boy.
All right, we'll be right back right after this.
Do you remember seeing that tall, light green grass growing high in your yard last year in late June? That was nutsage grass. It's a weed. Nutsage is the third classification of grass. We have grasses, which comprise of plants like tall fescue, ryegrass, and bluegrass. Then the classic broadleaf weeds like dandelions, clover, and chickweed. And finally, there are sedges. These plants need a special material to be used to get rid of them in your yard. The traditional broadleaf weed control will not kill these pesky sedges. There is an answer. Fertilome's Weed Out Nutsage Control kills both yellow and purple nutsage, plus over 50 broadleaf weeds such as dandelions, clover, chickweed, and ground ivy. Fertilome's Weed Out Nutsage Control gets absorbed by the roots and leaves, and within days the sedges are gone. You may even reseed after 4 weeks of spraying the nutsedge. So when you start seeing those light green grass blades growing in your yard, use Fertilome's Weed Out Nutsage Control to kill any nutsage threatening to invade your nice dark green grass.